Dry mouth at night has a way of waking you at the worst possible hour. It is not the 2 in the afternoon kind of thirst. It is the 3 in the morning kind. You surface out of sleep and your tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth. Your lips feel like paper. There is a thickness at the back of your throat, almost like glue. And when you try to swallow, there is nothing there to swallow. So you reach for the glass of water on the nightstand, the one you started keeping there months ago, and you drink. And for a few minutes, it helps. Then you lie back down, drift off, and an hour later, it happens all over again. If this is your night, every night you are not imagining it, and you are not simply not drinking enough water during the day. Something specific is happening inside your body while you sleep. And for a very large group of people, especially women moving through their 40s, 50s, and beyond, the real cause is almost never the one they suspect. Most people assume dry mouth at night is a hydration problem. Drink more, they think. Add a humidifier, maybe. And when those things do not fully fix it, they conclude that this is just part of getting older, something to tolerate. But the science tells a different and much more interesting story, because the mouth is not a passive place that simply dries out. It is a living, working system, and at night, that system slows down in ways that have been measured, documented, and traced, all the way back to your hormones, your breathing, and the natural rhythm of your own body clock. Once you understand what is actually happening between midnight and dawn, the dryness stops feeling like a mystery, and it starts to feel like something you can finally do something about. Let us begin with the thing almost nobody knows. Your saliva does not flow at the same rate all day long. It follows a daily rhythm, the same way your body temperature and your sleep hormones do. And that rhythm has a bottom. There is a point in every 24-hour cycle when your salivary glands are producing the least amount of saliva they will produce all day. That point is the middle of the night. This is not a guess. It was measured with remarkable precision more than 50 years ago. In 1972, a study published in the Journal of Physiology, carried out by the researcher Colin Dawes, collected saliva from subjects at multiple points across the day and night, and found that the flow rate of unstimulated whole saliva follows a clear circadian rhythm. In plain language, your saliva rises and falls on a schedule. It peaks during your waking hours, and it drops to its lowest level during sleep. This is normal. It happens in healthy people with no medical problems at all. Your glands are simply following the body's clock, winding down for the night just like the rest of you. Now add a second layer. It is not only that your glands make less saliva while you sleep, it is that you also stop moving it around. During the day, you talk, you chew, you swallow constantly without thinking about it, and all of that activity keeps saliva circulating and keeps your mouth moist. At night, that activity nearly stops. A review published in the journal Sleep Medicine Reviews in 2002 examined exactly this, the significance of saliva during sleep, and described how salivary output diminishes dramatically once you are asleep. The researchers also noted just how common the nighttime complaint is. In one Canadian survey they cited, close to 1 in 4 adults reported waking up with a dry mouth and needing to reach for water. So if you have ever felt like you were the only one lying awake at 3 in the morning with a desert in your mouth, you are, in fact, in enormous company. So here is the baseline picture. Everyone makes less saliva at night. Everyone circulates less of it. For most younger people, that reduction is small enough that they never notice. But for a specific group, that natural nighttime dip gets pushed over an edge, and the mouth crosses from slightly dry into genuinely disruptively dry. The question is, what pushes it over that edge? And this is where the story turns toward hormones. Saliva is not just water, it is made by glands, and those glands are tissue. And that tissue responds to the chemical signals moving through your bloodstream, including your sex hormones. For decades, this was suspected but not proven, until researchers went looking for the actual receptors, the docking points on the cells that estrogen attaches to in order to send its message. In 2004, a study in the Journal of Endocrinology reported that estrogen receptor beta is the predominant estrogen receptor subtype found in human oral epithelium and in the salivary glands themselves. Read that again slowly. Your salivary glands are built to listen to estrogen. They have receptors specifically tuned to receive its signal. Now think about what that means across a woman's life. During the reproductive years, estrogen is abundant and steady, and the glands receive a strong, consistent signal. But in perimenopause and menopause, estrogen does not just decline, it swings and then falls. And the tissues that were listening for that signal, including the salivary glands and the delicate lining of the mouth, begin to change. The lining grows thinner and more fragile. The glands lose some of the hormonal support they were accustomed to. And the result, for many women, is a mouth that is drier than it used to be, more sensitive than it used to be, and far more prone to that nighttime dryness we started with. This connection has been studied directly in menopausal women. A study published in the Australian Dental Journal in 2013 set out to assess the impact of menopause on salivary flow and on the sensation of dry mouth, comparing salivary function across different hormonal stages of life. Work like this, along with a broader body of research, has helped establish what many women already feel to be true, that oral dryness is not a random annoyance of aging, but is tied, at least in part, to the hormonal shift itself. The mouth, it turns out, is one more place where menopause quietly leaves its mark. And there is supporting evidence pointing the other direction as well, which is often the most convincing kind. If falling estrogen contributes to the dryness, then restoring estrogen should ease it, and that is roughly what researchers have observed. A study in the Journal Archives of Oral Biology, published in 1996 by Lane and Leimola Virtanen, followed perimenopausal and postmenopausal women and found that salivary flow rate increased during hormone replacement therapy. The direction of the effect matters. It tells us this is not merely correlation. The hormone appears to be doing real work at the level of the gland. This is a conversation to have with your own physician, not a recommendation, but it is a powerful piece of the biological puzzle because it shows the pathway running in both directions. So we now have two forces stacking on top of each other. First, the universal nighttime dip in saliva that everyone experiences. Second, the hormonal decline that thins the oral tissues and weakens the glandular signal in women at midlife. Put those together, and you can see how a woman in her early 50s, who never had a dry mouth in her life, suddenly finds herself waking every night parched. But there is often a third force involved, and this one hides in plain sight. It is how you are breathing while you sleep. If you sleep with your mouth open, no amount of saliva will save you, because the air moving across your tongue and palate all night long simply evaporates the moisture faster than your glands can replace it, especially during that low overnight window. Mouth breathing at night has many causes, from nasal congestion to the way the airway relaxes during sleep, and one of its most common and most overlooked signs is exactly this: waking with a bone-dry mouth. This symptom is taken seriously enough in medicine that researchers have studied whether it can help flag a more serious condition. A paper in the Postgraduate Medical Journal in 2021 examined the role of dry mouth in screening for obstructive sleep apnea, a disorder in which the airway repeatedly collapses during sleep, and found that asking about dry mouth added useful predictive value to the screening process. In other words, a persistent dry mouth on waking is not always just about saliva. Sometimes it is the mouth's way of telling you that your breathing during sleep deserves a closer look. That is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to give the symptom the respect it deserves, and to explain why so many people who chase the dryness with water alone never quite solve it. They are treating the puddle instead of the leak. So what can actually be done? Let us move from why to what, and keep it grounded in the science we have just walked through. The first shift is to stop thinking of this purely as a hydration problem and start thinking of it as a nighttime problem. Yes, staying well hydrated across the day matters. And front-loading your fluids earlier rather than gulping water right before bed can help you avoid the cycle of drinking and waking. But hydration alone was never going to fix a rhythm that dips at night by design. The goal is to defend the mouth during those vulnerable overnight hours. That starts with the air and how you breathe it. Because evaporation from mouth breathing is such a powerful driver, anything that helps you keep your lips sealed and breathe through your nose overnight can make a real difference. If chronic nasal congestion is forcing your mouth open, that is worth addressing at its source. A humidifier in the bedroom adds moisture to dry air, which is especially helpful in winter or in air-conditioned rooms, where the ambient dryness compounds everything. The next shift is to protect the saliva you do have and avoid stripping it further. Many conventional mouthwashes contain alcohol, which is drying, and using one as the last thing you do before bed can leave the mouth more parched, not less. Reaching instead for products designed to moisten and support dry mouth, rather than disinfect and dry it, respects what the tissue actually needs overnight. Sugar-free lozenges or products containing xylitol can gently encourage what little saliva flow is available and help keep the mouth more comfortable. Then there is the matter of what might be quietly making things worse. A very long list of common medications carries dry mouth as a side effect, and many people take these medications at night without ever connecting them to the symptom. This is not a reason to stop anything on your own. It is a reason to bring the question to your prescribing doctor or pharmacist to ask directly whether anything on your list could be contributing and whether the timing or the choice could be adjusted. That single conversation solves the problem for more people than any product ever will. And finally, take the pattern seriously enough to name it. If your nighttime dry mouth comes with loud snoring, with gasping or pauses in breathing that a partner has noticed, with morning headaches or crushing daytime fatigue, that combination is worth raising with a medical professional because it may point toward the sleep breathing issues the research connects to this symptom. And if you are moving through perimenopause or menopause, and the dryness arrived alongside the other changes of that season, that too is worth naming out loud to your physician, because as we have seen, the hormonal threat is real and it is measurable, and there are avenues to discuss. Here is what to carry away from all of this. The dry mouth that wakes you at 3 in the morning is not a character flaw, and it is not simply the price of getting older. It sits at the meeting point of 3 real, documented forces. The natural fall of your saliva at night, mapped decades ago. The hormonal shift of midlife acting on glands that are literally built to respond to estrogen. And the way you breathe in the dark, hour after hour, when no one is watching. Understand those 3, and the glass of water on the nightstand stops being your only defense. It becomes the last item on a much longer, much smarter list. Your mouth has been trying to tell you something in the quietest hours of the night. Now you know how to listen.